Good, how are you?
I made sure I put it in the invite, the board packet email, that the meeting was here. And to park in the large parking lot on the south side of the building.
Well, maybe he's not. Read the name of his life? Really? Let him sue us.
Every 5 minutes is 15 minutes.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what it's right. Rick, I got a seat up here.
You'll be our attorney for tonight.
He'll try to give you the best legal advice he can.
I'm sure he's got some.
Where's their flag?
There is, it's in the.
There is one outside, I remember we was.
Yeah, we pledged up to outside this.
You think they have one
The
inside?
tabletop one. Come in here, we need a little tabletop one.
I'll say that when I was working.
You're good to open.
That might have been down.
We gotta get
Give them a minute.
back.
Or maybe they was.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
get
swap.
the train.
We'll tell you. I'll put them the night before.
Okay, it's a little after 6. I think we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. You gotta go towards the, there's a flag out in the parking lot somewhere. So,
Oh, yeah,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have the roll call, please.
Roll call, Dennis Sands.
Here.
Jeff Jeffco.
Here.
Mark Stanley.
Here.
Kellen Welsh.
Here.
Richard Lekowitz.
Here.
Joshua Snyder. Here. All present.
Thank you. All right, do we have any additions to the agenda? Do we have additions to the agenda? No?
Not, well, we have public comment, but not additions to the agenda.
Okay. With no additions to the agenda, we'll go to citizens
Approve the agenda.
approval of the agenda. I'm new at this.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Now we'll go to citizens addressing the board. And I'd ask that if you're going to speak on the water reclamation, that you wait until down farther in the agenda, so we kind of got it all together. But is there anything else?
Yes.
David Meyer or Nicole Malik?
Go ahead.
I'm here again to speak about my sewer line and the driveway. I recently just found out both were done against codes. You cannot put a 4-inch pipe into a 6-inch pipe and then back into a 4-inch pipe. That is why my sewer line broke. Because not only because of the gaps that were left within the pipe that were not properly secured, not properly done, when you guys reconnected my lines from the first sewer project you did in 99. So now I have my insurance company requesting letters from my sewer company. And more than likely we'll be contacting this village for the money to correct the problem that they just fixed. This town needs to stop sidelining the residents, taking easy ways out. My driveway is also against code. It does not have a base layer. There is no base layer. There was no rocks compressed at all. My driveway was laid over dirt. An inch of asphalt laid over dirt. That is why it's falling in, and that is why it's falling apart. It has nothing to do with it being 23 years old. It has nothing to do with any of that. I talked to Claudia Hicks when this was a problem. I talked to Contra when this was a problem, and nobody wants to deal with this. This board has continued to take the easy way out and affect residents continuously. And it needs to stop. 100%. I will be in contact with this board to find out what they are going to do to rectify these issues that I am having on my property that this board or this town caused years ago. I don't want to hear it happened 30 years and this board doesn't care. Because I've already heard that from one of your maintenance guys that came out 8 times in one day to take pictures. I couldn't get your town people out when I was having problems, but in one day they came out 8 times per that 8-hour workday to sit and hover over the job that was being done on my sewer lines. This is absolutely ridiculous. I've asked for help. I've been nice. I'm not nice anymore. The insurance company will be in contact with you guys. The plumbing company and sewer company are writing up extensive reports on the codes that were not followed. And don't tell me that the different codes were back then. No, these were the same codes back then as they are now.
May I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Your driveway, I won't speak about the sewer, but the driveway. The driveway would have been when the house was built.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't?
No, it wasn't. You guys decided to cut my driveway when you redid West Cherokee in 99.
Okay, I've lived on that street, as you know, for 40-some years,
Okay.
I'm very aware of what the problem was in that street. In fact, the reason why I was on the board previously was because I was basically put on it because I kept coming up and complaining myself, okay? I don't understand where you say the city has an issue with your driveway, because the driveway, they may have done something at the end of the driveway, but
No.
not the entire driveway would have
It's
been
not
done.
it's not
Let
the
me
entire
finish, please. Your entire driveway would have not been ever affected by what the city did, okay? Your driveway, whoever owned that house would have put the driveway in.
No.
So I don't see where that's the city's issue. The sewer, I'm having issues with my sewer, but that's because of trees and roots. I've had to spend a lot of money cleaning out my line going from my house to the road. But that's my issue. That's not the city's issue. I guess I'm just confused over, again, I'm very familiar with what the city did.
So here's the thing, okay? you're saying it's my entire driveway. No, it's not, so let's correct that first, okay? The second thing that you're wrong on is the town did cut most of my driveway, took some of my driveway to expand that road, okay? They cut half of my driveway and then had to re-asphalt it to do the sewer line project that was there to reconnect the lines to the new sewer. They took mine, Jan's, Sue and Lee's, Jay and Tony's, Jeff's, and I don't know his wife's name.
It's
And,
me.
okay.
That's my wife's name.
No, that's not.
Oh,
No,
Westbrook, okay.
yes, Westbrook. So those all had our driveways cut substantially during this project.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What year were the repairs done?
So the construction was done in '99. I moved in 2002. I looked at the house at the end of 2001. And I complained to Claudia Hicks when I first got the house, saying that something's not right with this driveway. And that is when I found out that my driveway was cut by the city to do this project. Claudia Hicks never wanted to deal with it, never wanted to take care of it. I talked to Goncher when Goncher went in.
But the repairs were done prior to you purchasing the property, is what you're telling me.
But I just found out when they had to open up my lines and actually show me the driveway, that the driveway was done against code. So I just found all of this out after complaining for years about my driveway and how it was negligently put together. So now I have the proof. And that will also be in a report. There's been multiple driveways with this sewer project that you guys did on West Cherokee that have not been done to standard codes. Every driveway should have a base. I have no base. That's why mine is literally caving in. I had a base prior.
So the sewer tiles that they took out that are laying next to your driveway have been there for 26 years? What you telling me?
What are you talking? In the ground?
No, laying out on the edge of the driveway? Is that your driveway that's tore up with the tiles that are laying next to it,
Really?
right?
Yeah,
Am I right?
yeah.
So they've been laying there for 26 years?
Where are you coming up with
No,
that?
when they did some work on her, she had somebody come in to fix her sewer line.
Okay.
Which again, I would question the city's responsibility for your sewer line to, from your house to, let me finish please, to the street. Because that is the homeowner's responsibility, it's not the city's. When they redid the sewer project, and again, I'm very familiar with that, they connected people's sewer lines from their property to the new sewer lines that were put in the
Yeah,
street.
against code.
Well,
Against code.
I don't believe they ever took your sewer lines from your house to the street and did anything with
You're
that.
not understanding.
No, you're not understanding
The
what
part that they just ripped up
yes,
is against.
that's your responsibility, it's not the city's.
You're not letting me finish.
I've heard you talk before.
Therefore, when they connected the street into my lines, they connected against code.
Yeah.
Nicole, I'd like to thank you for your comments, and we'll look forward to getting the letters from your lawyer and from your sewer contractor, and we'll look into it. Thank you very much.
You're gonna have to, now.
David Meyer.
I have a little quieter subject.
Thank you.
The last administration had a project to establish Shabbona as a quiet zone for the railroad perspective. And it seemed like it was moving forward, and nothing has been said about it since, and I'm wondering if this board is gonna pick up that project to increase the quality of life here in Shabbona, make it a little more quiet, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I don't know of anything right now that we're gonna do. I haven't heard from the railroad since I've been here.
Okay, I think it was initiative from the village.
Okay.
And I don't know who had the project, who had hands on it, and where it ended up at. But I haven't heard anything about it last several months, so I'd like the board to try to look into that to see if it's possible to get our town a little quiet.
We'll, being this is a new board, we will look into it and get back to you, Dave.
Okay.
The last time that I spoke to the village engineer, he said that we were waiting on an update from the NSF.
Pardon me?
He said that we were waiting on an update from the NSF, and they just move at a glacially slow pace. So
Is there something that the village could do to Chapel?
I asked that, and he basically told me no. Like, it's just they move very, very glacially slow. There's many, many meetings you have to go through, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm generally speaking a proponent of quiet zones, so I agree. I think if we can make that happen at any kind of reasonable.
If that happened, the quality of life here would go up.
Yeah.
Again, we'll look into it and get back with you. We'll get back as soon as we can. Okay, what I've got as far as reports and action today is, first of all, I'd like to thank Gene Larson and Shabbona Township for helping us grade out the alley behind the restaurant and the library, and that it was quite an undertaking, and John and Jerry and Gene got it smoothed out. I think it's pretty good if any of you have been by there, and we will try to keep it up. But thanks to the township and Gene and another thing we had was Jake B, our part-time employee, resigned from his job this week. Jake had been with us for 7 years, and Jake did a good job. Whatever Jake's going to do now, I hope he makes the best of it. So, thanks to Jake. We've had some vacancies on our committees, and we've got 2 people that are going to step up and help us on committees. One is Tim Carey, and the other is Bill Tripp. So Tim will be on the infrastructure committee, and Bill will be on the development committee. Still like to have a couple volunteers, one for finance and one for public affairs. So if there's anybody here that would like to help us on one of those committees, please contact me or any of the other board members.
Frank, are these voting members?
No, they're not voting members. They're citizens at large. And I also I'd like to thank John Root again for taking care of the flowers uptown, doing the weeding. It's looking good, and thanks to John. So if you see John, I see John. Thank you, John. And the other thing was, I'd like to thank Denny Sands and Mark Stanley for taking some time out of their day to go to meetings up at the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District. So thank you, Denny. Thank you, Mark. Okay, we'll go to the committee reports. Infrastructure Committee, Mark Stanley.
Are we doing public works?
Oh, excuse me,
Yeah.
Public Works report. I've got that here too. Trust me, I'm new. The report says Jerry's been working on hauling out debris and wood chips from the wastewater treatment plant. And they installed the engine braking signs that were approved by IDOT on both ends of Route 30. And 35-mile-an-hour speed limit sign was installed on Preserve Road, just west of Shabbona Road. And maybe we'll talk about that just a little bit later. And he's got on here that they did do the grading and graveling in the alley. They posted shut-off notices on Friday, 8/15, and did the shut-offs on Monday, 8/18, and there may be more to come on that. Continued to mow and spray weeds in the streets, gutters, and alleys. And John and Jerry are also thanking Jeff Root, or John Root, I'm sorry. Jeff's here too, isn't he? Yeah. So thank you again, John. And they've had a lot of Julie locates, and they're actually locating the entire village for a cable internet company that's coming to town. So that's what the streets and alleys guys have been doing. Now we'll go to the committee reports. Infrastructure Committee, Mark Stanley.
So, the fire department sent us a proposal over on the contract. Dominic was gonna revise it or what have you. I don't know if that got sent back to the fire department.
Yes, it
for
did.
approval.
Yep.
I didn't know that. And then, did we hear anything from them?
We have not. The contract just went to fire district Tuesday this week, I believe it was.
Okay.
So I wanted to wait a little bit until we had a good rain, which we did. We had a 4-inch rain. And in talking to Chief Furman, there was nothing come back up through the floor like it was doing. So I'm thinking that the gutters and the downspouts and the action we've taken on the well houses has solved the problem as far as the water going in. The problem with what might have happened as far as the floor being undermined is still there. And Dominic addressed that in the amendment to the original our governmental agreement, right? So I think.
So now we're just waiting to hear
We'll
back
wait.
from the fire department?
Yeah, right.
Okay. That's
Anything
all I
else?
have.
Finance Committee, Caitlin Welch. Got anything?
Nothing new to report.
Okay, thank you. Development Committee, Josh?
I also don't have anything other than I think we should have a meeting sometime. Since Denny and I are the 2 board members on it, I was thinking we could have a joint meeting with Public Affairs whenever we schedule that, which I think is coming up next.
Okay. And Public Affairs, Denny?
Yeah, Public Affairs Committee, we need to meet to talk about what we can do as a village to help the interaction between the state park and the village. A lot of people that visit the state park never come to Shabbona, never come into the town. They don't know anything about the town. The signage on the roads coming in are very minimal. As you come from the east, the first sign you see about the state park is at Casey's. You know, you're already through the town by then. So we're going to work on signage. We're going to work on the PR part, maybe some internet action, creating a website, whatever. There's all sorts of things in the modern world that we can do to make the village more accessible to the people that go to the park, and a reason for them to come to Shabbona. There used to be a lot of interaction between the park and the town, but basically now there's very, very little, and we need to improve that. So that's the goal of the committee, and we'd like to set a date. Do we have any dates in mind for a meeting?
I don't, that would be up to you and the committee, you and also Josh now, if you're gonna have a joint meeting.
Okay. Do we have to decide tonight, or can I meet with Josh later and we come up with something? You just gotta make notification, right?
Right, we will. And that'd be fine if you two get together and come up with a date.
Come up with a date?
Let us know, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
does anybody have any questions about where the committee's headed or why it's headed there or whatever? We reportedly get around 400,000 people a year to come to the state park. And I don't know what the number is that visit Shabbona, but I bet it's a whole lot less, like 90% less.
Danny,
Yeah.
the address of the state park is on Shabbona Grove Road. And with everybody's apps today, that's the address they go to and come in through the park from the backside and don't know there is a town there. We had lots of people come in the store and say, I've been camping here for 20 years, I didn't know there was a town here. You need to address that.
Okay, thanks.
You
Yeah.
can get it moved to the north side,
Get the address off Preserve Road, you mean, or something?
get the state park's address moved to the Preserve Road as opposed to this Shabbona Road.
Yeah, probably the problem there is the mailbox. You know, the mailbox has got to be by the office is on Shabbona Grove Road. So I'm not sure what we can do, but we can certainly publicize that a whole lot better than what is being publicized now.
Okay, thanks, Denny. Now, we'll go to the sheriff's reports. Is there any question on the sheriff's reports?
Yeah, I've got one. So just for clarification, I see Shabbona Patrol 1, regular patrol 18. So that basically means that when we're paying the sheriff, deputy sheriffs, whoever comes out, the $4,000 per month plus, that's for that one call? And the 18 are just general calls to dispatch?
What the report shows is in the 12 3/4 hours per week that we pay for, they had one call. And the other calls are on their time, which is other than the 12 3/4 hours we pay for per week. Last week I talked to Jim Berg, he's a chief deputy. I had him down here and we talked about several things. One of the things was maybe adjusting the time that they're in town. I don't want to pretend to tell them how to police the town, but maybe the times could be changed a little bit where there's something else in.
Yeah, it just
Well,
seems odd to me that we're paying all this money and they're getting one call out of it.
Yeah, hopefully that they'll come back with something where they can have more input into the town.
My understanding is that we paid them for 51 hours of time that they spent. That's based on that first page.
Right.
I know there's only maybe one Shabbona patrol, but what we're paying for is what they're coming down here and servicing the town.
Right.
That was 51 hours worth during the month of July.
And you'll also see on the sheet, Richard, that they did 46 house or business checks while they were here on our time, and they did 16 on the sheriff patrol side. So I do think that an adjustment in their hours would be very helpful.
Thank you.
And also, when I talked to Deputy Chief Berg, we talked about the speed limit out on Preserve Road. And it was brought to my attention through one of the deputies that we didn't have the proper signage out there. So we added the signage we needed, we moved the sign. Now the deputy felt they were able to enforce the speed limit out on Preserve Road. So maybe we'll see if that helps. I also talked to him about the exhaust brake signs that we put up on Route 30. And they'll police that. And they're also going to police the speed of the garbage trucks on Route 30. And those are extra patrols that they'll take on, so. Maybe next month, this will look a little bit different.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up, Bill. Are there any other questions on the sheriff's report? Okay, we'll move on from there. Okay. Village clerk. We need to approve the regular board meeting minutes from July 17th, 25. The minutes, of course, are in your package.
We need to amend them first. No one else caught it. Our new treasurer did. I was so excited she got voted in at the end of the meeting. I put her down as being in attendance for the whole meeting as the treasurer, which was incorrect. So I have undone that, so I don't show a treasurer in attendance. So they would be approved as amended.
Are there any other questions? What's that?
Motion to approve as amended?
Second. Roll call?
Denny Sands?
Yes.
Jeff Jeffco?
Yes.
Mark Stanley?
Yes.
Kellen Welsh?
Yes.
Richard Lakowitz?
Yes.
Joshua Snyder?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, then we'll go on to building permits issued.
So the report's in the package for you to see. Where the dark line is on it, that is the end of our former building inspection service and the beginning of our new building inspector. So we have issued 3 permits to date with Pat. 2 of them are for the same address because he required one of them for solar and the other one for the electrical service upgrade they're doing as well. So we've got one outstanding permit right now, and that would be the green line in, because a zoning variance has to be done for that, because the front porch, they have a front porch, they're making it bigger and deeper, and their front setback needs a variance in order for them to come out deeper. And then the other one that's on there is not a building permit per se. It was a new common thing is lenders for property purchases are not necessarily making the lend to the buyer if the zoning of the property does not match the use of the property. So this in particular is an apartment building that has been there since I think the 80s, and it's zoned as C2 service retail, but it's a multifamily apartment building. So it needs to be amended to mixed use, which covers multifamily apartment buildings, so that the zoning matches it, so that they can complete their sale. So it's up for sale. So just kind of something to keep in mind. A realtor that called me about it today that's representing the seller said this is becoming more and more common, even in small municipalities, large municipalities. If when the appraiser calls about the zoning for it and asks questions, if it doesn't match the zoning, kind of puts the whole sale on hold until the zoning's fixed. So Frank had me do that.
And we have a zoning meeting scheduled for?
September 3rd at 6:30 p.m. at Village Hall. 2 public notices have been run in the Daily Chronicle, and I have a quorum from the zoning board that night.
And while we're talking about zoning board, we have 2 open seats, I think, on the zoning
Yes.
board. Is that right, Dave,
Yes.
2?
We have 2 open seats.
You're on the zoning board, correct? You have 2 open seats? If there's anybody here that would volunteer to be on the zoning board? Bill Tripp, okay. We'll talk after the meeting, Bill. Anybody else? Or if anybody knows anybody that would please help us on the zoning board, have them get in touch with one of us.
So the meeting on September 3rd, are we going to be addressing what we need permits for? Is that part of that meeting or no?
It's only the 2 properties that
The 2
that are here.
properties here.
Okay.
Where are we at with, I know there was some discussion last month regarding, I know we're looking at, are we going to make changes to what we're going to require residents to get permits for? I mean, I know that's an ongoing issue. I don't know where we're at with it, I guess.
You kicked it to committee.
Is that the executive committee?
It's public affairs, but that's,
No, there's development, isn't it? Zoning and
Zoning
building permits?
Development Committee, yeah. Josh,
think so.
if you get your committee together, get a date, and we'll work on that. Yep.
Can that be in coordination with the other one that you guys are setting, the two of you are setting? Can that be talked about then?
Yeah, I'll make sure we talk about it, whenever Betty and I schedule the public affairs and development joint committee.
We're hoping to do it within a month.
Okay. Yeah, because I would like to be there, to write some input into that.
If you're not on the committees, I usually send it out to the committees when the agenda goes out and any handouts, and then I'll send a second email to any trustees not on the committee,
Gotcha.
so that they know about it, so they can come if they'd like.
Okay.
Or Frank will encourage you to come.
Yes, please come. Okay, and under E, we, Shabbona Pathway update. Jen, I believe that's you again.
Yep, Shabbona Pathway is waiting to find out if a grant application that was submitted to the state is approved. The state got over 2,000 grant applications, which was 50 times more than they expected, so it's taken them longer to go through them. It would be matching funds in order to move forward with executing the next leg of the pathway from the high school to the corner of Preserve and Shabbona Road into the state park and west along Preserve to that subdivision. If the pathway gets a grant, it'll move forward. There's questions on who it'll move forward under, the township or the village. We don't know until we get the grant, if we get the grant. If the pathway does not get the grant, the ITEP grants of $440,000 will probably be forfeited because our timeline for extensions will run out later this year. And decision will be made by the Pathway Committee, which is a 501c3 committee, on what to do going forward. Dan Nolan, who served as the Pathway president since its inception, like 13 years ago, resigned effective 8/16. And currently officers are Josh Clark is president, Wendy Schnorr vice president, Jim Johnson treasurer, Allison Kidd Props for secretary, until a decision comes on the matching grant funds. So
So is the pathway gonna go on the north side or south side of Preserve?
it'll cross into the state park, and it's gonna be on the south side of Preserve Road out to the subdivision. Because Jim Johnson owns that land and has already given permission for the pathway to run along it and through it.
I'm just thinking about the park, now with the Potawatomi got the
We're
park.
still finding that it goes into, we only go like 10 or 20 feet into the park at the corner.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just directly into the corner of Preserve and Shabbona, angles into the park. The next pathway meeting's at 9:13 at 8 a.m. in Village Hall, if anybody wants to go. Bring coffee, it's an early meeting.
Any other questions on the pathway? Okay, then 4 on there is Halloween trick or treat hours.
And that is because our newsletter will be finalized before the September meeting. The last few years, trick or treat hours have been 4:30 till 7. They've been 4 to 7 at places. The village board can just determine what they prefer.
What were they last year?
4:30 to 7.
There you go. Sounds good to me. All in favor? I make a motion, 4:30 to 7.
Motion
I'll second it.
and seconded to have the trick or treat hours 4:30 to 7, and I assume that's on Halloween,
Yes, I believe it's Friday night this year.
Friday night, Halloween, 4:30 to 7. And I think I could just do the voice vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. And then, it's not on there, but Frank asked me to just give a little update on FOIA. So in the month of August to date, there's been 4 FOIA requests for a total of 12 and a half hours. Today, I sent the response along with a Google Drive compressed folder of documents for a FOIA that took a combined 7.5 hours for records to be pulled, reviewed, scanned, and response to be made. It was requesting village wastewater treatment plant documents from the monthly DMRs at the sewer treatment plant to any violation letters, anything, it was a lot. It was a very large, it was a 3.5-hour scan. So if you want any of those documents, I'm more than happy to send you a compressed file. So, but it's done and responded to.
Probably cheaper to send it that way than print it out.
Yes, although after 50 pages, we get paid for printing. So, but we don't get paid, can't charge them to scan things.
Okay, we'll go on to 6, the financials. Approval of bills and the payroll for August of 2025.
So moved.
Second, moved and seconded to approve the bills and the payroll for August of 2025. We'll have a voice vote.
Roll call vote, Denny Sands?
Yes.
Jeff Jeffco?
Yes.
Mark Stanley?
Yes.
Kellen Welsh?
Yes.
Joshua Snyder?
Yes.
And I missed something. Richard Lockwood. Sorry.
Thanks, Richard, just speak up. Okay, B, we'll have the treasurer's report from the new treasurer.
From the new treasurer. In your packet is the treasurer's report, which shows all of the standings of July. Nothing particularly interesting or out of the ordinary.
What page is that?
It starts at page 18 of 42.
Are there any questions for the treasurer's report?
So we've asked before to break this down a little bit further because of monies that we're holding for the 20,000 for building Shabbona.
Pretty Park, yes.
Yeah, the Pretty Park. So I've asked, and I don't know how we can do it or what we can do about it, but I'd like to be able to segregate the funds, because when someone looks at the account and they say you have X amount of dollars, there's nothing that shows that the funds are in there that we're holding for Pretty Park.
And that's because the grant number on the report is incorrect, and we gotta wait for the audit to finish. We're
Okay.
getting close. Once the audit's finished, I'm hoping they make the corrections for that.
Mhm.
If not, then I can address it at that point, but they're
Okay.
not gonna do anything while they're still.
No, man, that's fine. I know we're
So-
not at the end of this month or beginning of next month, right?
Yeah, they requested more documents this week and last week, so there's still, and a lot of it was grant stuff, so they're digging into it.
Okay. Fair enough.
So hopefully in September, we have a better answer than that.
Okay, and I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
Second?
I'll second.
Second. Voice vote, please.
Roll call vote, Mark Stanley,
Yes.
Richard Lockowitz,
Yes.
Josh Snyder,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yes.
Denny Sands?
Yes.
Jeff Jeffco.
Yes.
Motion carried. Just in case anybody, the last part of that was on page 22 through 29 is the quarterly appropriation report, where it shows what we've appropriated, what we've spent so far. It's also something good for the finance committee to dig into. So if you want to create any budgets, we can still do that, because there is a way to key them into the system.
And we had talked about going to a budget rather than an appropriation. So I think now is the time to start working on that, Kellen, with the finance committee. Is it to try to come up with a meeting date and go through that and move from the appropriation to a budget. That being said, utility billing updates, issues, and concerns. Do we have any?
There were 48 late bills mailed on July 31st. 12 shut-off notices were posted on doors on Friday the 15th because it was a Friday and extremely hot and water was not shut off. By Sunday evening, only 4 residences were left on the shut-off list. Monday morning, 1 was shut off. 2 of the 3 left on the list were not able to be shut off due to valve box issues. Everybody was paid in full by the end of Monday the 18th. And then just a reminder, water and sewer rates went up 10% on July 1st. The next bill will reflect that.
Okay. We'll go to number 7, old business, Shabbona Fire Department. We touched on that.
New business.
New business.
What I missed?
New business.
Oh, you're on an old agenda there.
No, I'm on an old agenda. Give me a new agenda.
There you go.
No wonder I can't get one. I got one. New business would be number 7A, a Compare financial grant that's administered by the DeKalb County. We've gotten grants through them before, I believe. And in your package is kind of a summary of the grant in the focus areas. The grant is for $12,500. The Village of Lee got the grant, Shabbona got the grant, Village of Waterman, and the Village of Hinckley, for a total of $50,000 from Compare Financial. I'd like the board to approve taking the grant and then moving it to committee to look for through the focus areas and see what the best use of the money would be. And there will be a timeline on this.
We have to accept the grant by Monday the 25th, which is this coming Monday.
Right.
We have 6 to 9 months after they award it to do anything. And if we don't use the money for anything in the focus areas, then we have to return it at the end of the 9 months.
So I'd be looking for a motion to approve our acceptance of the Compare Financial Rural Vitality Grant.
I'll make the motion, and also include that we should send them some kind of thank you note. We accept it. Thank
Once
you
they
very much.
issue it, we'll have all the information to submit that to.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to accept the grant. Could I have a second, please? And let's do a voice vote on this. Roll call? Yeah, voice vote.
Denny Sands,
Yes.
Jeff Jeffco,
Yes.
Mark Stanley,
Yes.
Kellen Welsh,
Yes.
Richard Lekowitz,
Yes.
Joshua Snyder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and then B, attorney input on the rights and restrictions of employees and officers. I'm glad that was yours. Thank you, Dominic.
This is with regards to the ethics complaint. We started a memo, we'll have it finalized and we'll submit it to the board. As a whole, I've also received screenshots, I've looked at the social media postings, web pages, whatnot. But there's a fine line between political campaigning and First Amendment rights and free speech rights. So what I've seen, I don't think has risen to the level of campaigning. I think there's some best practices, and so our memo is going to spell out some things that should be adhered to. But as far as a violation of your ordinance, at least what the materials that I've seen do not get there. And if they were pre-election, those would be allowed as well. So I will put together best practices for this board's and some amendments to your code, and then as part of the best practices, make recommendations. Because I know a couple of the pages in question aren't even affiliated with officials, but if elected officials comment, you can have issues with the Open Meetings Act, so it'll spell out all of the potential pitfalls that could happen, and then best practices to avoid any error of impropriety, any violation of the Open Meetings Act, any violations of the Ethics Code. any violation of village's code related to campaigning, which are, I think, a little bit off topic, at least from the materials that I've seen. I don't think it's. So based on that, I will, like I said, give you a memo with best practices. That's all. Like I said, I just received it, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, and we're addressing it in kind. Any questions?
Questions for Dominic?
I have one. So if like an employee or an officer wanted to criticize a elected official, is that something that's allowed? Off duty anyway?
So if it's off duty, yeah, the hypothetically you're providing, it's not on a village webpage, it's on social media. Off-duty employees have First Amendment rights, just like board members do, as long as they're not saying they're speaking for the village or in their position. So it's important to note that the person has to be speaking in their individual capacity. So I've had cases where someone will use their posting as the chief of police or a sergeant criticizing the chief of police. Well, the second you use your rank, you're now using your official position. So political endorsements, things like that, get a little dicey. But it has to be clear that it's in their individual capacity, not during work hours, and then they're free to make those comments as long as they're true and accurate and not defamatory.
And particularly in regards to employees, like it's illegal to harass someone for criticizing you, I assume? Or like
So there's no, the retaliation is not allowed. There's a whistleblower act as well. So if someone made a complaint to a governmental official, if someone were then to come around and use their official position to somehow harass the employee for speaking freely outside of work hours, so it's got to be outside your official duties and outside your work hours. I mean, I need some more detail, but there should be certain protocols and guidelines and basically guardrails put up to ensure that an individual exercising their First Amendment rights aren't harassed. They are not the subject of harassment because of that free speech. Now, if they're doing it as a prophylactic measure because they're not meeting expectations in their employment and they're somehow trying to protect their employment, that's another story. But there's a lot of layers, and I've dealt with a lot of whistleblower litigation. That's it's a fine line and a delicate balance between ensuring First Amendment rights, but you can absolutely not retaliate against an employee for criticizing, as long as it's outside of work, the government, whether political affiliations, anything like that.
Other questions? Okay. Thanks, Tom. Now that I have the proper agenda, discussion and review of the Shabbona Fire Department agreement. You have that in your package. Dominic provided that.
Okay, this is the updated version?
Yes.
The much shorter version. So
Okay.
this was originally an IGA between the Fire Protection District and the village. The Fire Protection District, based on, I presume it's based on some of the remediation and some of the steps taken to alleviate the water, came up with a new agreement. But really, if you're going to amend the IGA, it should be a First Amendment. So I changed the substance, not really the substance, but I kept it with the spirit. But this is the proper format in sum and substance for an amendment to an existing IGA.
So this is what was sent to the fire department, and they're reviewing, and will get back to us.
Yes, and the timing, again, was slowed down because I did want to see if the problem still exists, which I think the problem's been remedied. We'll hear from them soon, I would hope. So. Any other questions on that? Okay, then B is the ITEP grant, the downtown streetscape. We're trying to close the grant out but we're finding it very difficult. And the timeline has gotten way out there that we can get the grant closed out. We're looking at probably another 12 months, at least 8 to 12 months, to get the grant closed out so we know exactly how much we still owe towards the grant, or if we get some money back. There's been a question on the planting beds and the dirt that was put in them and the plants themselves.
Is there any way we can just go in and change the dirt so we're done with it?
Well, I guess I'm not sure of that.
Is it legal?
I don't know that we can do anything until we close the grant out, and then we can go on and make changes as we see fit. I think we went ahead and changed some of the pedestrian railing downtown, and that was brought into question by Fair Graham, whether we should have done that or not before we got the grant approved. So it was told to me that they may disallow the entire amount of the downtown railing because the railing was modified.
So how much are we gonna owe on that?
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that. The state and Fairgram were in town 2 weeks ago and they checked through the street lighting. And I haven't heard back as far as the state is concerned if it was approved or not.
We're still waiting for Springfield to respond.
So if you heard that, we're still waiting for Springfield to respond. I myself have a problem with that because you can look at the street light poles and see where the water runs into them and down to the bottom of the pole. And at the bottom of the pole is the fuses, and we're blowing fuses. We've done 3 or 4 street lights now, and I just heard today another one's out, so we probably have another fuse blown. I don't know what's going to come back from the state. He was made aware of the problem. So I guess we just wait until we hear from the state. And that's all the update I have on that. Jen, do you have anything? No. Okay. And now we're going to talk about the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District. The board members can discuss right now and ask questions. Again, we've got some people here that can answer the questions. Mark Eddington is here. Mark, raise your hand. Mark's here from the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District. And Chris Parra is here. He is our wastewater treatment operator as of Buddy's retirement. Yeah. So Buddy's gone, so thanks, Buddy. Yeah. So I'd ask for any questions from the board at this time, and then we'll ask for questions from people in the audience after the board members have went through and asked their questions. And try not to ask the questions more than once. So if I'd open it up to the board members. Do the board members have any questions for Mark or Chris? I'm sure they do.
I've already discussed with Mark, so I guess I'm gonna start with you, Chris.
Sure.
So where are we at in capacity and life of our sewer?
So my opinion on that, I was talking with the mayor. I've been your operator for a short period of time, but I operate water and wastewater facilities across the state of Illinois. I've been a water and wastewater operator for 34 years. And I've been your water operator for the last several years, and I've been collecting wastewater samples at your sewer plant, so I'm kind of familiar with your sewer plant. Actually very familiar with it. I would personally say the life of it is very, very good. If you would ask any operator, what are the 2 most important things with a lagoon system, or the concerns, you're going to have sludge accumulation and your aeration. A few years ago, you guys spent the money taking all the sludge out of your lagoon and replacing your entire air system out there.
that sets you up for many years of not having to worry about, too much of anything in those regards. And you should be putting money away for sludge removal in the future. I mean, that's something that the rule of thumb used to be 20 years, but now anybody that you talk to says the rule of thumb is every 10. You might get 10 to 15 years out of it. But the key is putting money away. It's a sleeping giant, and a lot of towns don't do that. So I commend you guys. You guys were actually ahead of the curve. You did that. So from that standpoint, you're in good shape. Looking back at some of your data for the last year and a half, your flow, your hydraulic flow, the amount of flow that goes to your wastewater plant, and when you're talking about capacity specifically, the EPA likes to use, or they do use, the 3 driest months of the year to determine capacity. And depending on what those numbers are, because you have a design average flow for your lagoon and you have a maximum flow for your lagoon. And your design average flow is 120,000 gallons per day. And I think you guys got a spreadsheet. We just looked at the last year and a half of what the flows were reported out there. And again, I just became your wastewater operator. I'm just telling you what I saw within the last.
I'm not trying to pick on
Yeah. So based off of the hydraulic flow, I would say you're nowhere near any problems right now. Not even close. If you had, let's just say you had somebody that wanted to locate in, I don't know, subdivision, industry, whatever. Before you could offer them sewer, you'd want to make sure that you had capacity at your wastewater plant. Or before the EPA would grant you a permit to do that, they would check that. It's my opinion that you're nowhere near that right now.
Are we at the 50% range? Are we below 50%?
I mean, it looked to be like around, we just did a quick look. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, those 3 driest months, from memory, I think there was like a 17.
Is this what you were talking
Yeah,
about?
let me see. So again, you have a 120,000 gallon per day design average. And you had a couple, in your lowest ones won't necessarily be in the summer when it's dry, although this year it hasn't been very dry. A lot of times it can be in the wintertime too, You're looking in December was 17,000 gallons per day average. November was 37,000 gallons per day. October was 19,000 gallons per day. Now, you did have some in April and March and, the wet seasons where you were above your design average flow, but you also have a maximum flow. And where you can get in trouble sometimes is if you're hydraulically pushing a lot of water through and based off your analysis of your outfall that we do as far as like DOD suspended solids. When you use the flow and do a calculation with your numbers on your DODs and suspended solids, you could potentially go over on pounds. That's not happening here. If you had to ask me what's the biggest concern with a lagoon, and specifically your lagoon, it would be algae. Every lagoon fights algae. There are several things you can do to help with that. Unfortunately, you don't have sand filters. Those work great. But there are some operational things you can do. You can keep the lagoon at a higher level. You can use blue dye. They have ultrasonics. There's things you can do to try to help with that. Can I ever guarantee you'll never have a violation for suspended solids? No, nobody can. And if somebody tells you they can,
I don't think the city of DeKalb could guarantee.
no, there's no way. There's no
Sanitary district.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No guarantee.
There's no guarantee, but as long as you keep your suspended solids, and looking back at some of the violations, we had high TSSs a few times last year. There was a weird pH due to heavy rainfall. That's an outlier, and a low DO, just the middle of summer, and that can happen from time to time. But overall, your major issues with these total suspended solids. It's the suspended material in the water going out the outfall. And in your case, it's green solids. It's algae. And sometimes, depending on the lagoons, it's so strange. You could have several lagoons down the street from one another, and the biology in each lagoon is completely different. You could have one that's crystal clear, and 10 miles down the road, this one's bright green going out the outfall, you know? And, you know, in my 30-some years of doing this, we've done pretty well at keeping, you know, the violations to a minimum on the facilities that we operate, but it can be challenging at times. It absolutely can be. So what typically would happen is, and that person that did all the FOIAing, I'm sure got all that information, you know, when you have several months in a row of a TSS violation, eventually the EPA will send you a letter basically stating you're in violation of this, this, and this. You know, you have so much time to respond back to them stating what you plan to do basically. What are your plans? And it's no secret the EPA likes, you know, towns to do what you're considering doing because, you know, the fewer amount out there, it's easier for them to not only keep track of, inspect, but there's less potential for violations out there. So, you know, they're usually for this type of thing, I mean, just speaking truthfully. But, yeah, I mean, it's again, it's nothing where, oh my God, we're out of capacity. I did see that flyer that somebody produced. I don't know, it did kind of allude to the fact that you're out of capacity. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that statement unless they have different numbers than I have. I just looked up what was online. Any other specific questions?
Well, one of my big concerns as this has come up was the lagoon out there and again, what shape it was in. When I was on the board previously, that was a major concern was our sewer plant. And I think this goes back many years ago I was on the board.
Okay.
And since then, we have now, you know, did what we
Basically
did.
rehabbed it, yeah.
And but that was one of my big concerns was coming into this was what's the shape of our sewer plant as far as for the future.
I think that stuff was all done about 4 years
7
ago.
years ago.
How much?
2019.
19, 4 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
So
you know, if it'd be a different, I would have a different opinion on it if you hadn't done all that work 4 years ago. You know, if you're looking at the lagoon hasn't been cleaned out in 25 years, it's full of sludge. You know, you're staring at 100 to 200,000 or more worth of, you know, expense to get rid of that sludge. Aeration upgrades are usually 100 to 100. It could be 100 to 200,000, really. But since you've already done that, that's why my opinion is, you know, that lagoon, aside from the fact of the occasional TSS violation, is fine right now, the way it's set.
So I guess that brings me to my next question. So I've seen on social media and I've been watching, and I say one of our more famous keyboard warriors says that we're in violation and have fines. Do we have fines and letters from the EPA that anybody on the board knows about?
Not that I'm aware of.
There was probably a letter because you had a couple TSSs.
That was in 24?
Yeah, you probably would have received a letter,
Yes.
probably.
And there was, the first thing on it was if you got the algae under control and you did not have a violation 2 months in a row, we were good.
Okay.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
If it proceeded that you had month after month after month of violation, then you have to build canopies over your lagoon and all this other stuff, but we've never had to go past the fact that.
And there's other things.
More of a
that we try to
misconception on
avoid.
what was written to try to bring light to what was going on. Okay.
So, you know, the canopy is an expensive option. I do have a facility that has one. We've tried floating covers. Those don't really work that well, just being honest with you. You did have some violations this year. It looks like January, March, and July. And I think July was over by 1. And since then, I've talked with your staff here. And since your personnel changed and we became your water operator, we're now keeping the lagoon at a little bit higher level. And what that does is it keeps the light from penetrating deep, and they can pull the water from the lower water column of the lagoon where it's more clear, and hopefully not have any violations. And again, going forward, the same thing's gonna happen again if we have 2 months in a row typically, or if you have several within the year. By the end of the year, they could kick a letter to you too. They're gonna ask, okay, you're here with an algae problem again. You know, you said you took care of it last time. You know, you cleaned out the lagoon and did different things. What are your intentions this time? And before they accept anything, and obviously you have to go into a CCA agreement with them when you go down that road. You know, you are signing your name stating that the things that you are doing will hopefully take care of the problem. So, you know, I mentioned blue dye, I mentioned ultrasonics. We've had mixed luck with those different devices in different locations. So, you know, if we did have a letter show up a few months from now, we could go down that road, you know. But I'm not gonna lie, I can't guarantee that we'll be 100% compliance 100% of the time. Again, anybody that says that you can be, I mean, there's always gonna be operational problems, active guy issues. I mean, you could have, like the other night, Papa had 8 inches of rain or 7 inches of rain, something like that, and that's biblical to a wastewater plant, you know? So, I mean, that's just my opinion on it. Take it as it may.
Do you run into the similar problem?
Not with the solids, or, I mean, with wet weather impacting.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Again, every wastewater provider.
Okay, so it's not just us, is what I.
No, not by any
Okay,
stretch.
right, fair enough.
One of the questions I've had was, I mean, we've got the figures, what it's gonna cost if we decide to get into this project. As far as the engineering part of it. If we were to commit to getting in for the engineering part, are we committed to being in it for the entire project?
When we discussed it, I had a chance to meet with Frank and Denny last week. We've done this type of project with other communities, like Malta did it. They were in a little more of a dire situation than you guys are with the lagoon plant. They needed it immediately. They had no room to add any more houses or anything like that. So you're kind of in a different position. The way we set that project up is we entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the partners. In that instance, it was Malta, Kishwaukee College, and us, Sanitary District. And everybody paid for the engineering. So we split the engineering cost. The agreement on the front end was no one's committed to anything more than designing the project, bidding the project, getting a construction number, and then if we were all comfortable with the construction number, or if any partner wanted out, at that point, there was no further commitment. So we'd be proposing the very similar thing here.
My second question is regarding the cost. Why is there such a differential in the cost? And I mean, I'm looking at the engineering costs where we're only committing 5%, but the Indian tribe, I guess.
Why are you're asking why
We are only 5% compared to the other numbers.
Why is it so low?
Yes.
I think, practically speaking, to serve the Potawatomi, they nearly need to bring this pipe right to your doorstep. So the pipe is, I don't want to say it's right across the street from your existing treatment plant, but it's within a stone's throw of across.
Just like you told Frank and I, they need it, we don't.
Yes.
Right? Know what he said?
Yeah. And is there any, are you aware of any plans that the Potawatomis have that they would need this project? Because I've heard that.
I mean, not detailed plans. I've heard that they have a development that is going to use, and I'm trying to remember how many gallons of wastewater service they need a day. Maybe 25,000 gallons a day for, and again, I don't know if this is a multi-phase, I don't know any other details other than they need it, and they need it by a certain, they want to have it by a certain date. that date is, toward the end of 2028. So, again, Waterman, I mean, they need this project. They're kind of like Malta was. They don't have any room to grow anymore in their facility in their town. They've got quite a bit of development that's knocking on the door still. When our homes maybe is about to close on that one neighborhood south of 30, across the street from their plant that is undeveloped. So they need this, Potawatomi and Waterman need this infrastructure regardless of what Shabbona decides to do. It's a convenient time to say, hey, Shabbona, are you guys interested in participating in this project? Because it brings the sewer right to your doorstep. And I think, the other, you hear different folks talking about different sewer-related issues in town and how, you might have a compliance commitment agreement if you have violations or those sorts of things. Ultimately, working with us, ultimately, if you decided to build and connect to our facility, those would all be our problems and they no longer be our problems. So I guess that's one way to look at it.
And I'm sorry to keep asking questions.
Danny's got one
Danny,
question.
I got one more question.
I'm not sure who did this handout that we got, this decision brief, Shabbona sewer regionalization and local alternatives. Under the executive summary, it says, and they're talking about the Shabbona, existing lagoon is at the end of its life. I don't believe that, and you indicated you don't believe it either. So that's a problem. And options under consideration, whether Waterman should join the Kishwaukee bunch, or Waterman should join Shabbona and the tribe. To me, it's just mind-boggling that we're going to pump sewage 6 miles east, 10 miles north, 8 miles west, and that's the best way to do it. That just sounds ridiculous to me. To me, it makes much more sense to keep it regionalized and have Shabbona, the tribe, and Waterman join together, and have Malta and Kishwaukee and DeKalb join together, in 2 separate groups. That's got to be more cost effective. That's got to be an easier way of doing it. And I'm really confused about how we got to this point so quick to make a decision on things that maybe we need a lot more time to look at.
I think, like we explained to you when Frank and I met with you, I didn't hear about it before coming on the board of what they had planned. I think the comment was made last night during one of your meetings that the old board had a real warm feel towards going in with you guys on doing this. I think it kind of took us all by surprise, and I don't want to speak for anybody else here on the board on what was going on, or if the people of Shabbona weren't notified. I don't remember hearing much about it at all before. I don't know about anybody else.
It's all a surprise.
Huh?
It's all been a surprise. Just thrown at us.
We started, I mean, we all due respect, we started the feasibility study 18 months ago, well over a year ago. And, Shabbona was at meetings and involved, and this is my 3rd time to Shabbona. I'm talking to folks about this in the past, probably 6 or 8 months.
Well, I've been on the board 5 years and I've never heard about it until just recently.
I can't speak to how the board, any boards kind of communicate with one another, but we submitted the feasibility study, I want to say, it was completed in April. Drafts of it had been circulated, certainly to the folks on this
Well, I'm not
board.
saying it was a problem on your end, I'm saying it may have been a problem on our end, that we didn't get the information.
Gotcha. I took that the wrong way.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, I can't speak to the intercommunication of your own board. I can't say, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. The reality is this is going to happen. It's going to happen with or without Shabbona.
Right.
We think it works better with more partners. I'll be quite honest what my angle is. I'm trying to sell subscriptions to wastewater service. And I look at the Village of Shabbona, and you've got 374 accounts, and my financial picture looks rosier with serving 1,100 accounts instead of 700 accounts as part of this project. The rest of the project still looks great, but that's why I'm here. And I think it's a convenient time to have this discussion.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We're doing this in all parts of the county. We're looking north. We've already looked to the west. We're looking east. We're looking south. We're going to go forward. The other parties have signed on to a $1.34 million engineering project, and Baxter Woodland has begun that. Certainly, there's still time for you guys to be part of it. I think the partners think we're offering the engineering out at a fraction of the impact your flow would have on this infrastructure or on this plan. I can mention 5% of this we think is a reasonable number. Our district is more than happy to, I got my board to offer to finance this for you folks over 3 years if you're interested. It's certainly, there's no commitment other than the engineering. I think the downside, and again, you might be able to run your plant for a long time. And that might be the best decision for the village. And I don't disagree with that at all. But the timing of this other thing is now. And that's what's kind of driving this decision point, is that we're all in this now, at the point where you may want to consider to do this 10 years or 20 years from now, or say when some monster development comes to town that's going to produce property tax that no one had envisioned or no one had imagined. That's the point where, we don't have to.
So, we had talked about this before, and there's an added cost at the bottom of the bill. Not only, just so everybody knows from the village, your bills would increase, and if you got a packet on the one side shows what an actual water bill or a water sewer bill is, and on the back side it would be what the
I've got some questions about some math on that.
So it's like, okay, but it's like, what was the figure, like 38% increase?
Well, the bills that were in the packet don't reflect your rate increase that went into effect last month.
Okay.
So it's the old rate before the 10% increase.
But then it was, to my understanding, when we met, that there was another added line of a cost.
It was payments in lieu of taxes, I believe.
Payments in lieu of taxes, and that would be, the village would write you a check yearly for whatever the amount of that bill would be. So it would be one lump sum.
We estimated $3 per account per month.
So, I guess my question is, say you had a catastrophe and you had a spill in the Kishwaukee River, and we were all hooked up to it, and you got fined and $20 million. Does that reflect that everybody that's on your system has to pay for it? Because you're going to spread that out equally on everybody that's in your sewer system, right?
Exactly right.
That's what I thought.
So we'd spread that out equally over 45,000 folks, or it'd be
Whoever's hooked up to
probably
you.
closer to 50 hooked up.
Yeah.
On the same token, you guys have some sort of incident here where you have a just as easily, you could have some sort of
That's
traumatic
exactly-
event.
Exactly.
And you're spreading it over, whatever that cost is, you'd be spreading it over 374 accounts. And that's where I think the risk, it's just different, we're balancing risk differently.
One more question, and I guess unless so the Potawatomi tribe, you were saying needs like 21,000.
Don't take my, they need a certain amount of,
Is that something the village?
You have excess capacity as of right now, you know? I don't know, like he said, I don't know what they need.
Yeah,
But if you use that number of 25, you know,
We were in the meeting.
you're at 50% right now.
Okay, but that's a possible option out there, is that they could approach us and say, based on our capacity, you know, we could work out a deal with them where they could hook up to us
You
and
would have.
we would service them.
Yeah, you would want to look back historically at several years of flow to the plant.
Right.
And get with your engineer and, yeah, I mean, I have towns all over that do that type of thing, you know?
I almost think this was portrayed a little bit deceiving to begin with, because the flyer that's put out, the first paragraph of your flyer, almost says that our wastewater treatment plant is basically.
so I haven't looked at your wastewater treatment, I haven't set foot on your wastewater treatment plant. I could say the
city of DeKalb.
I could say the flyer was put together by folks from Shabbona, folks from Waterman, and us. So
I might have left it alone.
to the extent that it mischaracterized the condition of your
Yeah.
facility.
Read the first paragraph.
That ain't it. It's got the
I guess one of the driving factors would be here,
yep.
is our plant near an end? Are we,
I'm sorry.
are we out of space in our plant?
Well, it doesn't seem like it.
That is what
I
Chris is
wouldn't
saying.
agree with that statement. I mean, based off of my knowledge and the numbers that they looked at, and again, you know, they use the 3 driest months as the number for your capacity. I mean, that's standard wastewater stuff, wastewater 101. And, you know, if you were sitting here and you had a lagoon full of sludge and an air system that was 25 years old, you know, it'd be a different story. But when, you know, you're asking me my opinion about your wastewater plant, and I see a, you know, lagoon that was cleaned out 4 years ago, a brand new air system installed, I mean, that's pretty much it when it comes to a lagoon. Cut the grass, keep the weeds down, and you have a new air system, and the sludge was cleaned out. That's it.
In our packet here, it shows what we did. We spent $315,000 on that plant 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think there's a misconception out there that the plant is at its capacity, which what I'm hearing right now, that's not the case. And I would hope that that's not the only driving factor to either get in or stay out of this.
So I read that a little differently than you do. It is a 50-year-old facility. And I think expanding it as it is, expanding a lagoon facility,
you wouldn't
which
do
is what it
that.
says here,
You wouldn't do
would
that.
not be allowed by the EPA.
Yeah.
No.
They do allow new lagoons, but expanding an existing lagoon.
But me, as far as reading that, as Joe Public, not that anybody that, out of you two that deal with that on a daily basis, it's deceiving, because if you gave it to every one of these people in the audience or the board and they read that, every one of us is going to get a little bit different deception of, or perception of what that reads. And by the way that first and second paragraph read on that statement is basically telling everybody, if I handed that out, that our facility is outdated and garbage, basically.
And that's the rumor that's a lot on social media that's been going around.
Absolutely.
But as you said, it is old,
It is old.
But you've maintained it.
Yes.
So,
So I just want to make that clear to everybody, because if anybody else grabbed that and they got the same perception that I did off of what was written there, and like I told you before in the meeting, this means absolutely zero to me because I'm on 7. Okay? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, because I was voted on the board to make a good decision for the people of the village of Shabbona, okay? And this being swayed, well, you know, you're on social media, so you're putting your 2 cents out there too. And that's okay, that's what it's all about, right? So, to try to sway one way or another, any way it's sliced or diced, that's why I'm glad both of these gentlemen are here to address everybody tonight, so we can actually get facts about where we stand, whether it's going with the city of DeKalb or we continue with what we're doing.
Just a point of clarification, we're located in the city of DeKalb. That's the extent of our relationship with the city of DeKalb. We're a separate unit of government.
Yeah.
Lots of people like to pick on DeKalb. I just want to make that clarification.
But it's
just comes down to which direction you want to go.
It's
Exactly.
exactly.
Do you want to just do what it needs and not have to worry about it?
Yeah, I mean, you guys,
absolutely.
there's no doubt you can use your facility for a long time. You continue to maintain it, fix it up, and those sort of things. But at some point, we don't know when that point is. This may be a benefit for the village of Shabbona. It's going to be right across the street. Let me finish. And most of it is paid on somebody else's nickel. That's the gist of what I'm here to discuss.
So, Zeke also made a comment for the Potawatomi tribe when we were in the meeting with you guys and the village of Waterman, that he hoped to have it all covered for grants.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, if we did not do this tonight, or buy into this, and they had it 100% covered through grants, how are you going to charge that out to the village of Shabbona? If we didn't do it with you guys then, how are you going to charge if it was all done in grants from the government?
There'd be some sort of connection fee.
Okay.
To purchase capacity of our treatment plant. This is just transmission to our facility. So there'd be, that would be some portion of it, I would imagine. I mean, it would be a decision up to the board, but I think, the idea of a partnership buys probably some good feelings on the front end of a project like this. And the idea that, we're just gonna sit back and, have our cake and eat it too, isn't gonna sit real well with the other folks that are, leading into this project and doing the work and betting on the come, whether or not these grants, obviously the Potawatomi has access to pots of money that none of us, no other governmental entities do. Could we take advantage of that by being part of this project? Sure, that's exactly what we're hoping to do. Can we take advantage of having access to their political connections, whatever they may be, to find other grant money to these projects? I mean, working with Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District, we have access to grants that some of you other folks don't have access to in other pots of money that we could leverage. We have in-house engineering folks who are going to do a lot of this work in-house at no cost to the project, at no cost to the partners. It's a comeback. It's a comeback. But I'd say, if you're looking into economic development, if you're looking to add rooftops, if you're looking to increase your non-residential tax base, some of these developments that need robust wastewater treatment are astounding. And we've seen what's been done on the south side of the Calvin. I'm not suggesting that those sorts of things would come immediately to Shabbona. But this is a bet on the future, and I could say having robust wastewater utility has a profound impact on just look at the property tax receipts in our service area. It's mind-blowing.
Anybody else got any questions?
For me.
I'm gonna stop asking questions. Somebody else can.
How about this side of the table? You got anything, Jeff?
When it comes to the algae, I believe that's the only real problem you guys consider right now.
It's a struggle, yeah.
So I think you mentioned that sand filter would be a potential fix for
There's sand filters, there's aquapure filters, there's all kinds of technology out there, yeah.
like, do you have an estimate of how much that would cost to construct?
I have a town that's just going through that now, and they looked at both the sand filter and aquapure. The aquapure was like $700,000 to $800,000. They estimated the sand filter was going to be just over $1 million, 1 to 1.2. So, but they have kind of a unique footprint in a flood or in it's like a swamp area. So that added a little extra. Those numbers might be a little higher because they have a unique footprint of where they're at. But that's probably a pretty good number to keep in the back of your head of what it would take to do. And our lagoons that have sand filters, crystal clear, don't look back at it. It really goes all the out.
So that would be like a almost guaranteed that's kind of.
Yeah, pretty damn close. Yeah, it's tertiary, adding tertiary treatment like that. Yes, would definitely help.
Building a covering to cover the plants, would that be for the lagoon?
Those covers are pretty expensive.
They are?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big fan of those covers that they can put on lagoons. I'm more of a sand filter guy. I don't know, that's just my opinion on it.
Can I interject? Like, it's funny, it's 1.2 million for the sand filter. That would be the capital commitment on a $24 million sewer project. It would give you nearly endless capacity. And relieve yourselves of being involved in any of the O&M in replacement of your existing system. It's just interesting, that's the same amount of money.
So, I actually have a question like that. Where is that 1.2, I've heard 1.4, where is that stated as the village's share?
It's essentially 5% of, so we've identified a $24 million improvement. After the grants we know we're gonna receive and those sorts of things,
Okay.
I think the price on that project is closer to, I have to look, it's 19 million or whatever. We're talking 5% essentially of that. We estimated that to be about 1.2 million.
Okay. So in the original pre-engineering handout that you guys gave us, you said that the Prairie Band and Shabbona would be paying, I want to say 8.7 million. So
The Prairie Band would be doing the heavy lifting.
we don't have that in writing anywhere, as far as I'm aware.
You don't have anything right. I mean, the offer on the table is, are you guys interested in doing the engineering to answer some of these questions? That's all we're asking right now. And probably that engineering, if you guys did the engineering and then chose not to move forward with the project, that engineering would still be good if you guys wanted to do the project at a later point. So I mean, you have an offer, it's a big offering, and I don't think it's money that would be thrown away. My opinion.
I agree with that.
With that engineering, do you have that, any idea what it would cost to hook onto the system later if it's at our doorstep?
I mean, I would imagine the partners would, at a minimum, well, the minimum I would think it would be $1.2 million, which would be what time adjusted for, time value of money adjusted. for whatever, you know, inflation would have done to that. I would think that'd probably be the minimum. I don't know how the boards or how these other entities would kind of look at, you know, look at it above and beyond that.
As I understand it, Kishwaukee Water Reclamation would own the pipe, correct?
Correct.
So as far as recapture or anything like that would be on your.
It'd be on us, but I mean, it would have, there'd be some sort of input, I think, between the partners of this project. So I can't really speak to that.
You guys on that side of the table got anything?
Right, public comment.
Okay, I'd like to open it up to public comment. If you've got any questions for Mark or Chris or the board, now's the time.
I have a question. The 70,000 is like the first amount that we would owe. And then like a 1.2 million is the rest. Are we collecting that by the raised bills? Is that why the bills are being raised to come up with that 1.2 million? And if so, how many years is it gonna take to come up with that?
I think we figured the loan for the construction at 30 years.
It's at 67.5 per year.
70,000 would be paid back, from what I understand from Mark, 3 years. Borrow 70,000, pay back 75,000. 3-year period, correct, Mark?
Yeah, so the financing for the engineering would be,
No,
we front that.
You guys would front
You
the
guys
money.
would pay us back in 3 payments, you know, finishing up to 2028.
Ma'am, was your question whether or not the 10% increase was to pay for this project?
Right, the increase on these bills.
That would be
No debt service, no.
the debt replenishment fund is what you're asking about, and yes, it is.
No, I think she's saying the increase in the payment,
Right.
does that include the construction? And that
It
does
does
not.
not,
No.
no, it
There would be
doesn't.
additional debt service required to take care of the 1.4, which would ultimately be 1.9 or whatever.
But as we worked out the numbers for the repayment to the water protection district, we'd be done with that by the time the construction came along. We'd have to pay construction.
That's just.
So it's probably not gonna change as far as the debt repayment. That'll be there for 30 years.
But wouldn't that be influenced by whether or not there, the number of grants that would go against that principle? In other words, it's possible at this moment, if we sign on, we would take advantage of all the grants that are available to extinguish that debt, so it wouldn't exist.
That's how we've done it with other projects.
Yeah.
But I
So
can't.
everybody shares the grants, everybody, you know, whether Potawatomi were to bring another grant, or we were to bring a grant, you guys were to bring a grant, the partners would all prorated share the grants.
I see.
To take that off the top of whatever would be owed over time.
But for figuring the debt relief, I don't believe we can count on grants that we don't know we have. We gotta put the,
There's a strong possibility.
grants would be great, but I don't think we can try to sell that to the ratepayers or the taxpayers because we think we're gonna get a grant.
Well, you
I
were
think
saying that this project could be like 24 million. With grants, it may go down to 19, is what you were saying. So I think he's
Grants,
already.
well, before the Potawatomi even pays a nickel, the grants we know we can qualify for
Right.
through the state would get it down to probably, you know, it could be less than 19 million, we feel pretty comfortable.
Right. And if the Potawatomis, they were able to get further grants, that would obviously not, that would be shared
Right.
with the entire project.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee, as you said,
Right,
there's
no
no
guarantee.
guarantee
No guarantee.
that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So,
I think once the engineering's done, I'm sorry I'm taking your time out there, but once the engineering's done, the price could go up on this too.
It absolutely could.
Because we don't have solid engineering. So we can't say that it's gonna be a $24 million project until that engineering's
That's
done.
an estimate.
It's an estimate. And that's what we tried to provide with the bills that we put out. It's an estimate. Nobody knows, correct? We don't know what
That's
the,
an estimate.
so
Just to
it's,
verify then this 19 million, quote unquote, we would pay 5% of the share. Am I understanding that?
that is correct. What I've been told is we're in for 5%, correct?
Yeah, I think it comes out to 1 point.
1 point,
Right.
but that's not a solid number.
Again,
Don't
that's
take
an
that number,
estimate.
do not take that number to the bank.
I mean,
So-
a $1.2 million project would probably mean for your ratepayers over 30 years, that would probably be $180 a year per account.
Yeah, we could do the math, but
I think that's
we
the
figured
general
it.
math, but again, that would apply if you put in sand filters.
About-
You'd have the same, everybody'd have the same bump.
but that's just the cost of the loan.
Yeah,
It's not the cost of what it's gonna cost the village residents
correct.
once
The
we're
increase,
hooked up, so
exactly.
there's an additional
Well,
cost
similar-
on top of that.
Similar to, but all I'm trying to do is say, if you guys say to dump a surprise 1.2 million into your facility, you're coming up with that.
Correct.
You're going to the same folks with the same amount of money, probably over the same time period. We're taking away all your other liability.
So what is the percentage that a resident will pay per monthly or quarterly after this project of 19 million is done?
Did you pick up the packet we had at the back?
I did.
Okay, there's different scenarios for the amount of water that you use, because it's built off the amount of water that goes through your water meter. A minimum bill is in there, and that would tell you on 8,000 gallons.
Okay.
It's not updated though.
Pardon me?
The village's version is not updated though.
That's what I was.
We're
thinking.
not updated on
The cost of per unit.
The increase.
Right. The 10%
Correct, that's what I
increase
was
isn't
asking.
reflected on that particular.
we could
You're still
be,
cheaper.
It would be 233 instead of the 221 on it, with the new rates that went into play.
we could be 10% off, because that's what the rates were raised, was 10%. And again, we're not telling you that that's gonna be the cost. It's an estimate,
Correct.
because one, we don't know what the construction costs are,
And we can't get that until we do an engineer.
Correct.
and that is correct. The engineering has to be done.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the estimates are a little low, but I don't know that. We'd hope not, but they could be.
You could bid on it, Frank. You could.
Mark, I don't have my gold shovel anymore, so. Is there any other questions from the, John?
Yeah, I'm looking at your scenario here. Just a couple questions. The debt reduction, you added $50. Is that to cover the engineering?
That was to cover the engineering, yes.
Okay.
And we looked at paying that back in 1 year, not
Right.
3
That's a
before.
1-year increase,
Right,
as it's portrayed. Okay, just for clarification.
until the construction costs come along.
Right, I understand.
Okay,
So, if this is gonna cost $19 million after grants, theoretically, then our 5% is only $950,000 to get this done.
No, 1.2, 1.3.
1.2.
He's right,
On that
19
1.2 will be out of the
5%
2.4 million.
5% of 19 million is
Yeah.
950.
Yeah, you'd be 5% of whatever we can knock this thing
Right,
down.
so it's 24 million with the grants, we're hoping to get it down to 19, this is all before actual bids. And 5% of that's 950,000,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct, that's that.
Okay, that's fine, that takes care of this. The other question that hasn't been brought up here yet is that there is a lieu of taxes charge that will show up on our real estate bill with this?
No, it won't show up on your real estate bill.
It won't?
No, because we will not be part of the taxing district for the water reclamation. We'll pay in lieu of taxes.
Tell me to comment.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you're a customer that's annexed to our district now, so if you're in Cal or Malta's not annexed, we levy a small property tax. So the goal when we try to find new folks to connect is that in the end, everybody pays the exact same amount for the same service. So the folks that aren't annexed, we can't, we can't levy any property tax. So we would ask the village to essentially levy in lieu of tax on our behalf. It amounts to about $3 per month per account. And I'd argue, well, let me make a point. And I'd argue you're currently being taxed by the village, and some of that tax you're being taxed by the village probably covers some of the sanitary sort of infrastructure needs. So I'm suggesting that's a trade-off. That's not like some bonus that we're getting. That's like if we would ultimately take over the sanitary district or the sanitary infrastructure responsibilities and so forth, there's going to be costs that the village charges you now that are going to go down, and that would be one of them. I would think there'd be a property tax adjustment that would reflect they don't have to worry about getting any property tax at all for the sanitary anymore. Now that would be transferred kind of to the sanitary.
Very good, good information.
Thank you.
Frank, I got a question on this. So the current water bill, we have a sewer usage that, and use yours for an example. Currently, it was $51.51 for per quarter. That, if we were to go into this project, that would be eliminated because we wouldn't have that charge anymore for the village. They would.
Yep.
And you're saying $3 essentially per house per month.
This is part of like the whole monthly bill.
Okay.
You have a $13.50 a month charge on the bill, correct?
It would be billed from Shabbona.
Flat.
Flat
So we charge is we have a $13.50 a month
So 221.
flat fee.
So this would be,
And then we
if you were
charge,
billed from the
if
city.
we converted it to 1,000 gallons per acre, it's $3.81
Shabbona
per
bill,
Right.
city
per
hotel bill.
1,000.
Now,
Yeah,
there's gonna be
you
another.
charge per 100 cubic
on this
Yeah.
bill.
feet, we charge per gallon,
Right.
8,000 gallons.
As of right now.
So at a minimum
There's a
bill,
little
if you're
more.
comparing apples to apples right now, you're looking at your minimum bill of 8,000 gallons
$3,
a
so
quarter.
it'd be $3.60.
You're much more competitive than we are.
12.
But if you're looking at a higher user, right, even right
Okay,
now,
so it'd be $9.
we'd be more
But
competitive
it is 3.
for the higher
So
users.
you'd be $9.
So commercial,
309.
or if you had family that used a lot of water.
This sewage would not.
But then,
Explain, please, yeah.
Yes.
so then the village also loses the ability to control how
Why
much
would
we pay for sewer, because
You're
then
not
we're
paying
really left to
This is
what
a Shabbona
the district
example.
says.
That's a Kishwaukee.
Like any rate changes are no longer decided by our
Correct,
townspeople.
that's a great question. I think the question of, that when we talk to folks about this, the question of control comes up a lot.
Hold on, I can't hear.
I'm sorry.
The question of control comes up a lot, and folks are like, well, we're gonna lose control of, and that'd be like, I don't know, you'd be relying on my trustees to set your rates. And I think that's the what folks have to wrestle with is what control do they need? What control can we put into a service agreement, into a contract, to guarantee that, there's a term, there's, all different sorts of aspects that we put in contracts with communities that we serve, other than, folks that are annexed to the district. So I think you're hitting something there that's the reality of it.
And right now, our rates are being determined by people who live in our town, and then they will be determined by people who don't live anywhere near us, most likely.
Correct.
Unless, yeah.
Correct. I mean, the flip side of it is your rates went up 10% last year, and our rates went up 3%.
Right. And I do think that the rates on the,
Unless you're a higher user. Well, you're not a user at all.
I'm confused about that. What do you mean,
So our rate, the way our rate works is we have a flat fee and we have the usage rate. So our flat fee is $13.50 a month, and the usage rate is $3.81 per 1,000 gallon unit. You guys are at $7.09 per 1,000 gallon unit. So at some point, that difference in usage, if you're using enough, it's gonna, it flips,
that $13.
right? You guys are really competitive on the low end usage. We're more competitive on the higher end usage.
and I worry about that too. There's plenty of people in town who pay 2 water bills. They have, multiple, they have an apartment, and so now it's double for them. I mean, and the rates that were figured in these examples, they went up by 35%. And even if that's up by 10%, that's still 25%. So when I think about my poor pocketbook, you know what I mean? 25% increase, and then not knowing if it's gonna increase.
This is totally a bet on the future.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead.
I have a question about the IEAP or IPA?
IEPA.
Yeah. What are they signaling on nutrients and PFAS?
So that is a topic. I mean, obviously, limits can change. They can add more limits. Typically, they're not picking on the small accounts right now. I mean, the nutrient removal and all that's on the big guys like this right now. They have to do all that. They have the treatment to do that. Lagoons have difficulty doing that. They're aware of that. So they haven't really put any limits. Right now, they're going after people that are 1 million gallons per day and higher. So a lot of small communities that are designing new plants are trying to keep them under 1 MGD to try to limit their risk when it comes to nutrient removal. But
so if the rules do change,
there's always that possibility. So yeah,
Well, they will change.
yeah. I mean,
depending on when it happens.
Yeah, when it happens, I don't know
always know.
who it affects. Right. So like lagoons aren't really designed to remove ammonia and those type of things, but all the lagoons have monitor only. Or if they do have limits, they have to change something within their treatment to try to get under those limits. But typically, right now, they don't have an ammonia limit or anything like that. So
I'd say the point you're making is, again, as you talk about the future, like, as technology gets better, the regulators ask wastewater to be cleaner. That's just how it works. And that's not a bad thing, but it can be an expensive thing. And when you're a facility like ours, over 1 MGD, they call us a major, this would be considered a minor. We have every limit you could possibly imagine. And we're looking down the road a long way at the new limits, PFAS, forever chemicals. I'm not familiar you guys are with all these different things. But that's kind of an insurance policy going with us as well, because at some point, it could be 10 years from now or 50 years from now, some of those regulation changes will trickle down to smaller plants at some point. And again, that's when kind of it flips and you're like, okay, we're kind of full service that way.
hit you, and you have to do $100 million upgrade because of that. How does that affect?
We've already done it.
Well, I know, but to your point, there's always more.
Yep. So I mean, we look at it like we are trying to grow our user base, And that's what insulates. Spread the risk. It's just a risk play. And we have economies of scale, just because we're larger, we have economies of scale that are available to us that, smaller folks don't have. And we have capacity in our facility. It's not earning any money right now, and we're trying to put that unused asset to work.
What dollar value of the new system? If we couldn't use the lagoon anymore, what are we looking at as far as costing the city?
Well, you could use the lagoon for quite a while until
No, I'm saying,
yeah.
catastrophe wipes it out. A new regulation comes down.
How about if you had to expand? Look at it like if you had some sort of business that came here that you wanted to attract, you had to expand.
Well,
I think that would maybe be the.
Well,
there's a way to work with companies coming in to deal with that. But anyway, a dollar number, I know a 500,000 gallon per day plant that's being built right now. It's at about 20 to 25 million. And you're at 120,000 gallons a day. So, I mean, and that, unfortunately, before COVID, that same plant was estimated at 11 to 12 million. As soon as COVID happened, it was like somebody snapped their fingers and it went to $25 million, just like that.
Truer words have not been said.
Yeah.
The other
Just
thing
being
we have-
honest with you. I mean, I'm just being honest.
The other thing is my understanding is really we don't even have to petition the EPA or anything until we get up to the upwards of 80%. So
Yes.
if we're only at 40% capacity right now, per se.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they don't like you to be 80% or from what I've read or from what I
Restricted, it's
understand.
called restricted status, and then
Yes.
once you go above that, it turns into critical review.
Okay.
They can still allow things to come, but, unrestricted status.
And I don't know if water is on restricted status now, but then you do comparison, like they're pushing the envelope on what they can treat right now. And they're dealing, in some way, shape, or form, they're dealing with these sort of things you're talking about.
I'm the operator.
Oh, are you? Okay, so you're aware of their status.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a little bit different situation because they have a lot of people, like he said, knocking on their door. And the potential for that is great for those people to come here. And with their existing facility, they're kind of limited to what they can do. They've got some subdivisions that are there right now, but what if 3 or 4 more want to show up tomorrow, Then what are you going to do?
No, I get it.
They'd be staring at $25 million or more, that's basically what happens. So.
If they let that subdivision into town, they wouldn't have to take it on. They've got that leeway that they wouldn't have to add another subdivision.
I don't know, what? I guess I'm misunderstanding what you're saying.
I guess I'm saying that if the people are knocking at the door, they wouldn't have to answer the door.
Oh, that's true. I mean, if somebody
They
wanted
would
to
say no.
Yeah, I guess if somebody wanted to put 1,500 homes there, you could tell them no. Yeah, that's true. Yep, that's true.
As far as I know, we don't have anybody, we haven't got a door knock. So I guess that's
And you do
what
have some
the board
capacity.
has to wrestle with.
It's not like you don't have any capacity. You do have some capacity. But like you were saying, if somebody really, really large wanted to come here, then you'd have to start having a discussion on how you handle that.
And at that point, the question was asked, what's it cost to hook onto the system that's come to our doorstep?
Yeah.
Tom has a question.
The other factor that we don't know about, and this could be 5-10 years, but we don't know what kind of effect the Potawatomi are going to actually have on this area. Because they're not buying up all this land, and they're not, even though they said in the past, they're not going to put gambling in because it's legal. We know better than that. But they're buying up land for a reason. So whatever they got planned or whatever they're planning in the future could have a big effect on this area or this town. So it's hard to even think what that's going to do to us.
Now, if the Potawatomi get hooked up to their system, they can handle their stuff, but what else is gonna follow up with them? Is it gonna change this area? Maybe not, but maybe so, we don't know. It could be 10 years before we know. We can't even speculate because we don't know, and we've asked. Right. Yeah. Now, they may not have a big picture, they do have a plan, or they wouldn't be buying up, they're not buying up farmland just so they can rent it out for somebody to plant corn on.
They're not willing to put up the millions of dollars for with you guys to run the
Yes.
sewer. Potawatomi.
Oh, yes,
For
they
nothing.
are.
Putting up the For nothing.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yeah.
Without a
But-
plan, they've got a plan.
They've got a plan, I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
They've got a date,
That's
they've got a date when they need sewer line. And we're working backwards from that date, which is why we need to get engineering done this year, which is why this is in front of you guys.
But whatever they do, or whatever they build, or whatever the plan is gonna have effect on this whole area. I don't know how you plan for that either, so.
Well, and we've asked Chairman Ruppnick, what is the plan? And he's not gonna tell us.
No.
He told us he's not gonna tell us.
No,
It would be nice if we could plan for it.
but you can't.
And again, that all depends, do we need this project or don't we? If we're willing to roll the dice, that we don't need it, okay. The Potawatomi makes
We don't know which way the wind's gonna blow.
right, the Potawatomi make their living rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Let's just live it that way. I don't know that we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave?
I've got a question about the design package. If the board votes yes to the 70,000, how long will that stay valid if we don't decide to go forward with the construction? 5 to 10 years?
Like, how valuable would the engineering be?
Yeah.
I mean, when would it ever go out of date? Is that? It hasn't been designed yet, so I'm not real sure, but I mean, I see a gravity sewer literally coming across the street from, it's gonna serve the park.
Okay.
So I would think connecting your existing facility to that I don't think the engineering would go bad on that for a long time.
This is a question for the board. If you vote this down today, are you going to negotiate with the district, maybe the first right of refusal or some price guardrails for the future in the event that we need to connect with them?
Well, I think that would be up to the district to come up with that. I don't know that we can negotiate that. I don't know where we negotiate from.
I can't speak for my board, because it's their decision, but I think the partnership in the engineering would go a long way towards the spirit of cooperation in such a big project.
So if we were to vote for the engineering to proceed, and after we get that and we find out what the bill's gonna be, and we say, okay, well, we're not ready yet, then at least you think your board would say.
I think there's room there to say, man, we tried, we chipped in, we partnered up, we just don't have the money to do it.
Right.
Or we think our facility can go 10 more years.
Right. And
I
that
think
would be something
I
we
think
would be
that goes a
interested
long, I think that would go a long way. Here's the other piece. We could, engineering's gonna take a year. And within that year, maybe we find maybe this grant money we talked about we start to figure that out. And maybe we figure out your number is less than what we're even talking about. Everybody's number is less than. Right. So like, that would kind of be on the table as well. Again, we don't know.
Because you said from the engineering, it's gonna be 2 to 3 years before the actual construction would begin.
Well, no, I think we would engineer it. We plan on being out to bid for this project this time next year. constructing it ideally, you know, winter of next year, so winter of 26. So say November of 26, and then be completed. It's gonna be a big project. It's a big pumping station in Waterman. It's hoping to be completed by the second half of 2028.
And when did you need to be out on Preserve Road for the Potawatomi?
2028 is the number or the date they gave us, and that's the same number I'm kind of speaking
Yeah. This $70,000 design, will that unlock any funding, grant funding possibilities once we have that?
There might be some grant funding out there for design. I can't say anything I'm positive about right now, but I think there's probably some opportunities. But that would be something worth, I think it would be worth going to the Cal County Community Foundation. They kicked $7,000 into the original feasibility study, so I think there's some pots of money that we have to look at, right? So,
And I don't think for our purposes, we can deal with maybe and might. We have to deal with what's coming down to us. I think it comes down to, do we want to spend $70,000 for the engineering that we're all going to have to pay for in the debt reduction fee? I think we all know that sewer costs are going to go up. We just had a 10% raise. Maybe we're okay there for a while, but maybe it'll go up. But they'll go up through the water district also, I would assume. The rates are gonna go up. The rates aren't gonna go down, let's put it that way.
I'll let you know the first time our rates go down.
I'm sure you will.
But I can say consistently we're at or better than rate of inflation on our rate increases for the past several years. So that's our goal. That's how I get judged. So it's a marker that I wear on my sleeve.
I guess you're not retiring right away?
Yeah, I got a little more to go.
When's the last time we've had an increase?
We just had one.
Just had one.
No, prior to that.
This is the third one in 3 years.
We want 10% a year for 3 years.
Prior to that, it had been 2017. Prior to that, it was a lot more years.
We never.
Yes, sir.
I have 3 questions. One was, at this time I have 3. You said the bill may not be realistic. Is the only difference between the projections, I realize it's an estimate, just the 10% increase is not reflected?
That is what I saw.
Okay, right. Yeah, just the math. Okay, gotcha. And then I'm sorry, I know you explained it a couple times. Can you explain the billing system? You said it pays off differently, so we charge off usage, right?
So how we bill on a bi-monthly basis. Again, we bill on a quarterly basis, and we get all back into it. So if you looked at it like a monthly bill, we charge $13.50 flat fee on that bill. So think of we're talking residential. Then we charge, converting our units to years, $3 and I think it's 81 cents per 1,000-gallon unit. And then, like we mentioned before, there could be the lieu of tax, which again is just kind of like I don't know if that even amounts to anything, because the villages would come down, ours would kind of increase. So I think that's kind of a push.
That's the $3 per gallon you're talking about. So that 81 per 1,000 gallon unit, that's like you do in the house or the commercial building, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so just the usage, so it's just like a meter.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a minimum?
No. I guess the minimum could be $13.50 a month if you don't use a drop of water.
we're billed when we use a drop water, no? We'll take $1,000 gallons.
Yeah, so I guess if you don't use anything, so say you're a snowbird and you're in Florida for whatever months, your bill would be $13.50 because you had no usage.
So the village would have to provide you with what the water usage.
So what we would do is we'd contract with the village, and we would pay the village to build the sewer portion, because you guys are doing the billing anyway, you're doing the metering anyway. We would pay you to do the billing on our behalf, and then just write us a check for the sewer amount after each billing period. So to give you some perspective, we pay City of DeKalb $190,000 a year to do the billing on our behalf, which comes out to like 66,000 bills a year. So I think for you guys it would be, I don't know, maybe it's $5,000 a year worth of bills, but we pay that to you guys to do that for years.
Bill, what do you got?
My final question. The water reclamation is responsibility for the sewer system, throughout the town, that will and transfer to the.
So we're gonna use Malta as the example. So we've taken over the dirty work. We're responsible for all of Malta's sewers, all of their pump stations. We've just we've spent $250,000 rehabbing those stations in the first 2 years that they've been on our system. Like, they didn't have standby generators in these lift stations. So we went in, we rehabbed them, we made them just like one of our installations with standby generators. So, I mean, I feel like our level of service, we have a service level commitment that's gonna show through it. And I'll give you another example. If someone was talking about rotting their sewer, we have a program that is a cost share for folks that have to replace their building service between the main and the house. So if you get tree roots, get Orangeburg pipe or something, and you have to replace it, we participate up to $7,500 on a 50% basis to replace that for folks, because that's a leaky, that leaks into our system, and we want to get that infiltration out of our system. So we have these other programs that are available that we're not really talking about now, but there's a lot more that comes with connecting to our district than just building a pipeline.
Okay. Anyway, I'm a new resident here. I've only been here since November, and I'm getting involved. But here's what I'm looking at too with this tying in with the reclamation. I mean, right now we're set at a certain way. And then what happens is, let's say if there's another business that pops up downtown. Oh, that's more sewer. How much more is that going to tax the lagoon? You get another one coming in. Let's say we get a couple more businesses coming in. But then just all of a sudden, the apartments that are downtown are filling up and getting more residents and stuff. Now you've got more going to the treatment plant. Right now, the way it's looking, I mean, if that were to happen, right about 2028, we'd be tying into this. It would be not quite go where if 2028 hit and we didn't do nothing with this, then we're going to be digging out our lagoon. And then this poor guy here is going to be sweating every month, making sure we're not in violation and everything else, and then sending letters to the IEPA because that's an entity that, pays their salaries and stuff by finding, by finding. So I'm just looking, we really, right now the labor costs are set at a certain point. About 2028, they could be 30% higher. Insurance is going, as you start building this stuff and the equipment and everything else. I just don't want this village to get into an emergency situation and say, oh my gosh, we gotta get into this, and all of a sudden it's gonna be a lot of money. As far as I'm concerned, and I just say this, but we need to quit worrying about the Potawatomis. Put ours in, and if they wanna tie into it, tell them to tie into it for $2 million. And that's just how I look at it. But we need to really move forward with this and worry about the village of Shabbona. If anybody else wants to come along, then, there's impact fees and what have you, and that's just how I look at it.
Anybody else have comments, questions?
I have my paper back. Oh, That's not my application.
No.
Get your other paper
No more comments, questions, board members?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay,
Did we have any, no comments from the internet? Okay. I did actually have one question. So, I think you mentioned that doing the engineering now, and then if we decide to not work there, we could use that to tie in the future, right?
It wouldn't be like lost engineering, that
Yeah.
you own it.
Okay.
and from the meetings we've been in, I feel that you're here wanting you'd like a answer tonight if we're gonna be in or out. Is that correct?
I think that would be that'd be ideal. Certainly, if there's other questions or things, and you know, you guys can respond in like a reasonable time period. You know, we're engineering it now. That doesn't mean you can't hop into it, but we just want to tie this thing up and move forward. So I think we could be open-minded.
Okay.
So you do want a decision tonight, is
I
what
think
you're saying?
ideally it'd be great to have a decision tonight. If you guys don't feel like you have the information to make that decision, or you have other questions that folks have or come up, or and we could come back next month. But I wouldn't want it to drag out much further than that.
Well, we've been pretty good by kicking the can down the road.
Well,
here, so.
and I guess there's another way to go about this, and that would be, instead of putting it on the board, put it on the people of Shabbona, on the residents of Shabbona.
We don't have that time, luxury to do that.
No, absolutely. If he wants a decision tonight, then the board's on the board.
I'm willing to make a motion at this point.
I'm willing to hear your motion.
I make a motion that we agree to the engineering at the 5% cost that has been given to us. I'll state my reasons for that is I think that we will at least then show an interest. It doesn't commit us to getting in the project immediately. But I think it shows good faith that if we do need this in the future, we have it available. So that's my motion, that we do get into the engineering.
Yeah, I know I need a second. I'd like, maybe Jeff, while the motion is still open, I'd like to make sure that we receive a loan for the engineering, which you have committed to.
My board meeting yesterday, I got that authorization to, as we discussed, free, easy payments of,
$25,000.
Is there an interest rate? Is there an interest rate on that, or is
I think we discussed $75,000 over 3 years versus like a loan.
Okay, we've got a motion, Jeff's motion on the floor. Do we have a second for Jeff's motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
Now, is there any further discussion? I'd like to ask one question. When would the engineering money be due to the water protection district?
I just generally thought, like, my fiscal year ends, that I'm in now, and I don't know if you guys match up to, ends in April 30th is the last day. So I was thinking April 30th of 2026, 2027, 2028 would be the payments. mean, if you had to go May 3rd, I'm sure we could work with that.
Is there any other discussion before we vote on the motion that we have? Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote to agree to engineering at $70,000, 5% cost, with $75,000 being repaid to Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District at the end of fiscal year 26, 27, and 28. Jeff Jeffco,
Yes.
Richard Lekowitz,
No.
Mark Stanley,
No.
Calvin Welsh,
No.
Josh Snyder,
No.
Denny Sands.
No.
Motion does not carry. We didn't miss anybody, did we?
Okay. I guess that's your answer, Mark.
I appreciate your time, and,
Thank you.
good luck with everything, the village has going, and we'll talk to you down the road.
We'll probably see you again.
It could happen.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks for your time, Mark. Chris, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Right, can I make a suggestion maybe? That, we officially approach the Potawatomi to see what kind of agreement we can reach with them concerning these issues.
I guess
There is no agreement with Potawatomi, which is about.
we don't have, yeah, we don't have an agreement with.
No, that's what I'm saying. Start the process of getting an agreement. If they're gonna be our neighbor in the next few years or whatever, however long it takes, I would like to see some dialogue beginning.
I don't know why we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I think what Mark told us is that, Mr. Eddington told us, is the Potawatomi tribe and Waterman are gonna go ahead with this project if we're in it or not. So now they have the.
Well, we don't know that, that's just his opinion.
No, they told us
They
they were doing it.
told us that at the meeting, they're going ahead with the project if we're in it or not.
When we met with Waterman and the Potawatomi, Frank and I did, at DeKalb Water Reclamation. We met with Waterman, the Potawatomi, we represented Shabbona, and then DeKalb Water Reclamation. And they told us that they were going ahead without us, with or without us.
He actually told us in his last presentation, when he was here the first time, that it's a done deal.
Yeah.
With or without us, they're doing it.
Well,
And he actually said at that time, it was.
We can always have dialogue. I mean, we can always talk with them.
Why don't we say that again?
We're gonna need to talk with them because they're gonna be our neighbors.
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
Right. As of the way I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, we voted tonight to stay out of the engineering part of the project. It doesn't mean we can't bring it back at some other time and join the construction part of the project. I think the engineering will be done right to our doorstep.
Yeah, you'll have to pay for the engineering at the time, based on your vote tonight.
That's fine, Frank.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming and the input that we did get. And I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second it.
We got enough seconds? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion adjourned, or meeting adjourned.
Well, that's what, yeah, that's the way it looks. That's true? That's true?
I was,